Every night, as our quiet home slipped into darkness and the soft murmur of sleep began to take over, an unsettling sound would break the silence. Our loyal dog, Rufus, always the gentle guardian of our household, would suddenly fixate on our little daughter, Sophie, and emit deep, low growls that vibrated through the stillness of the night. At first, the growls were so soft they could easily be dismissed as mere nighttime sounds. But as days turned into weeks, the unsettling ritual became impossible to ignore. It was as if Rufus was alerting us to something unseen, a hidden presence or secret within the shadows of our daughter's innocent world. The growls grew more intense, more insistent, and left us as parents both confused and deeply worried. In the dim light of midnight, with the house enveloped in an eerie quiet, we couldn't help but wonder, why would our once loving companion suddenly direct such cautionary warnings at Sophie? This nightly mystery set the stage for a revelation that would soon shock us all. Unable to sleep after several restless nights, my husband and I decided that we couldn't ignore the unsettling behavior any longer. Determined to get to the bottom of Rufus's nightly growls, we began our investigation with a mix of trepidation and urgency. We started by setting up a discreet camera in Sophie's room, hoping to catch a glimpse of what might be triggering Rufus's aggression. That night, as the clock struck midnight, we watched in disbelief as the video revealed Sophie sitting up in bed, eyes fixated on something in the dark. The image was blurry, but there was a strange, indistinct silhouette near her bedside that no one could quite identify. The next day, we reached out to a trusted veterinarian who listened intently to our concerns and suggested that Rufus's behavior might not be due to a health issue at all, but rather an instinctive response to something only he could sense. With a heavy heart and mounting anxiety, we also consulted a pet behavior expert who urged us to consider that there might be an unseen influence at play. Every piece of evidence we gathered deepened the mystery. The more we investigated, the more it became apparent that Rufus's growls were not random. They were deliberate warnings. As we pieced together these clues, unease settled in. Something about the night, about our little Sophie's behavior, was stirring a dark secret that our loyal dog was desperate to protect us from. The breakthrough came one stormy afternoon when we decided to dig deeper into Sophie's family history. We pulled old boxes of photographs, letters, and family documents from storage, hoping to unearth anything about the past that could explain our dog's strange behavior. As we sifted through these forgotten belongings, we came across a faded, yellowed letter from my grandmother. It was a letter I had never seen before, written about a decade ago, before I even met my husband. In the letter, my grandmother mentioned an unsettling incident from her childhood, describing a shadowy figure that had often visited her room late at night. According to the letter, the figure was always accompanied by the family's dog, which growled incessantly at the supernatural presence. The more we read, the more the pieces began to fall into place. My grandmother had always been somewhat cryptic about her past, but this letter revealed a terrifying connection. The family had a long history of encounters with a dark, eerie force that seemed to travel through generations, and Sophie, even at her young age, was unknowingly connected to it. Rufus, with his heightened instincts, was reacting to the exact same force that had haunted my family for years. The realization hit us like a cold wave. The growls weren't just a protective warning. They were an acknowledgement of something sinister that was lurking in the very shadows of our home. What we had thought was a harmless, albeit strange, behavior from our dog was actually a desperate attempt to warn us about an ancient, supernatural presence tied to Sophie. The chilling truth settled in. The darkness that haunted Sophie wasn't something we could escape. It was an inheritance from the past. In that moment, I knew we had to act fast. The question now was, how do we protect Sophie from a force that seemed too vast, too terrifying to understand? 8 seconds. Then one night, after reviewing every scrap of footage we'd gathered, the unthinkable unfolded before our eyes. The camera captured a chilling moment in Sophie's dimly lit bedroom. As the clock neared midnight, our little girl sat up in bed with an expression that was far too intense for sleep. In the corner, a vague dark figure loomed, a shadowy presence that seemed to drift closer with each passing second. It was as if an unseen force was hovering over her, whispering in a language we couldn't understand. In that heart-stopping instant, the horrifying truth became clear. Rufus's relentless growls weren't just random. They were a desperate, instinctive warning. Our Sophie, innocent as she appeared, was unknowingly tethered to a sinister presence, a remnant of a dark family secret that had haunted our lineage for generations. The realization that our child had become a conduit for this malevolent force shattered our sense of safety and forced us to confront a past we never knew existed. Our hearts pounded with dread as we grappled with the revelation. The loyal, protective growls of our dog had been guarding us all along, warning us of a danger that lurked within the very soul of our home.